Yes. See, it was always about like YouTube catching up, Dave. And I'm sure internet has gotten better because since we started doing the show, whatever many years ago. But in regards to your question, I love Christmas. I am that uncle who buys you great gifts. You look forward to my gifts, even though it hurts my pocket. But I'm the uncle who buys my nephew
What's an
his.
example of a gift? What's an example
Oh,
of
my nephew who is getting old now, he's in junior high now. I've been buying him expensive sneakers. Like I buy him expensive sneakers for Christmas every year. And now that his shoe size is an 8, which is literally the size of a man, those expensive sneakers are costing me like 140 bucks.
wow, you're still doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You are a
This
good.
might be
Wow,
that I
you
didn't
are.
do it last year, and he was ultra disappointed. Like it was one of those things that he looked forward to every year since he was a little baby. And I didn't do it last year, and he kind of gave me the stink face.
That's good. You are a good uncle, Omar. I'll give you that. Better than
I,
me. I hope my nieces and nephews aren't listening because I don't buy them $145 gifts.
yeah, and I always when the kids are younger, like my nieces, my wife's nephews and nieces, which are now my nephews and nieces, they always want them to have clothes. The parents always want them to buy them clothes, and I'm like, no, you got to buy a kid a toy. While there might be clothes, there has to be one toy. Because what kid wants to open up a gift full of clothes?
We do. Here's what we do. My wife makes candles, tiger tail handcrafted. We give out candles to the neighbors, Omar. You give out sneakers, we give out candles.
Hold on, but are they scented candles, Dave?
You
That's
win.
the.
What?
Are they scented candles?
Oh yeah, they're all scented. Little
See,
mint, little mint, smelling
she,
good right
she
now.
makes them.
Holiday spirit, huh?
She makes them.
Yeah.
So they're only for gifts. She doesn't make them for profit.
Well, she sells some too. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, give your wife a plug.
Tiger tail handcrafted. It's beautiful scented, handcrafted, just like Etsy. Oh, that's the idea.
Oh yeah, that you'll be amazed at what you can buy over Etsy. Even I'm not an online shopper. My wife is, but literally she can find anything, and usually it's Etsy.
I wish I'd bought Etsy stock about a year ago.
All right. Oh, hold on. I still haven't even sent out a link, which is not.
Getting in the holiday spirit. Showtime. We got our bell. We got our bell.
Okay, let's rock and roll. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Uh, well, everyone is focused on whether the Miami Dolphins make it to the playoffs. Brian Flores gave us a "What are you talking about?" Willis speech to the media, pointing out that his team is already in the playoffs. And he's right. Heading into these final two games, the Dolphins are in a win and you're in mode. The Dolphins are in a one-game elimination series the rest of the way, unless the Colts, the Titans, the Browns, and the Ravens all of a sudden start losing games. Miami's 22-12 win over the Patriots put Miami in position for this Saturday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders to be a pseudo elimination game. Miami wins, they stay in the hunt. Miami beats the Raiders, Raiders are eliminated. Are the Dolphins ready? We'll discuss that today on X's and Omar. I am Untitled columnist Omar Kelly. This is my colleague, reindeer Dave Hyde. The Dolphins, they've made enough and put enough in the tank to beat the Patriots to show you that ding dong, the dynasty is dead. But are these Dolphins for real, Dave? Are they playoff contenders?
They're playoff contenders. They're contending for the playoffs. So, I mean, you look around the league right now, and you'd have a hard time disputing they don't belong right in the race. And look what's happening. Are the Raiders playoff contenders? They've lost 4 or 5. I mean, they're falling off the map. And a month ago we said this is going to be a difficult stretch for the Dolphins. It really isn't a difficult stretch. It's lightened up completely. The Patriots, they aren't the Patriots anymore. That's obvious. The Raiders lost 4 or 5, and Buffalo might not be playing for anything, and might, depending on how they're going, decide to take the week off because they only have a week. They won't have any time off before the playoffs. So what looked like a tough road at the end is almost come in the Dolphins' favor to make the playoffs.
Not so fast, my friend. I think Buffalo is one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and it's possible that if Kansas City loses this week, Buffalo could be playing for home field advantage for that first week bye. Certainly, they want to get to that number 2 seed, and I think it's possible with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the season finale. But as Flores says, win now, and you got a chance. You keep playing. Our first question comes from Herbert GM. You wrote, and he's sure he's referring to me, that you've always learned something about the Dolphins from games against Bill Belichick because of his game plan. What did you learn after this one? Well, I'll start answering the question. It's true. Bill Belichick is probably the greatest mind in football, first ballot Hall of Fame coach, a defense wizard in my mind in terms of approaches and schemes and things that he wants to take away from you and areas that he wants to attack. And what I
How
learned,
did the Wizard look good Sunday, Omar? How's he look?
he looked like he got outsmarted by his pupil. And here's what I learned about that game. And Michael Dieter sort of tipped me in on it after the game, where he said, props to Michael Dieter for his impressive performance in his resurrection from, the abyss, roster's abyss. He said that against this style of defense, you want to attack them with the run because they're susceptible to the run. And a light bulb went off in my head, Dave. Who runs this style of defense?
Well, of course, the Dolphins, and look where they are. They are susceptible to the run.
So if Flores knows that this style of defense is susceptible to the run and can attack it, and they did, and effectively 250 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, that despite what Tua threw, that was to me the definitive offense that I want to see from the Miami Dolphins. If they play like they played against the Patriots last Sunday, they can beat any team in the NFL because it wasn't.
If they run for 250 yards rushing, I'd agree. If they can run for 250 yards against every team, they'll be the 72 Dolphins, and they won't. But that's not realistic, right?
I think the style of play is realistic. I think the RPO, here's the thing about it that has frustrated me about this team in this season. RPO is their base offense. That only works when your run game is working, because if you don't have the threat of the run and your run game is putting you in 3rd and 8 consistently, you're in trouble. So if you can have an effective run game on 1st down and keep teams off balance on 2nd down, guessing what you're going to do, and on 3rd down, if you can you could be in a situation where you can either run or pass, you could stay on the field forever. The Dolphins had 72 offensive snaps. They were 7 of 12. Yes, they didn't have big plays and chunk yardage, but they were efficient in every aspect. Even the red zone opportunity that Tua threw the interception, that was probably the best drive of their game. And, it didn't end in points, but they did whatever they wanted against the Patriots. And I can tell you right now, if they play like they played Sunday, and I'm not talking about 250 rushing yards, but if they play like they played Sunday, there's nobody in the league that can beat them.
Omar, come on. Nobody.
I'm serious.
Kansas City, they aren't there yet. All right? They aren't there.
I didn't say they were there. I said if they can run effectively, efficiently, with power, with this defense, with a quarterback who doesn't beat himself, they can beat anybody. Right. I still believe in that blueprint. I know you're on the fantasy football tip. I know you want 400 yards passing. You want Patrick Mahomes. Everybody doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes. The Dolphins don't have a Patrick Mahomes. You want to know how you beat a Patrick Mahomes? That formula.
Our next one comes from Renstick. Was it a great offensive line or excellent individual effort from our tailbacks that led to the best rushing game of the season?
I think it's both. That was the best that the offensive line has played. Everybody in the world knows I'm obsessed with line play. I'm obsessed with trench play. I would say 90% of this season, the Dolphins in the run game have given their running backs nothing, zero, in terms of line of scrimmage, surge, push at the line of scrimmage. Against the Patriots, every running back had 3 yards. Every running back had cutback lanes. And Savan Ahmed, I don't know how to say his name. I'm horrible at it.
We'll get it by 16.
What do you say?
We'll get it down. We'll get it by week 16. Keep going.
Right. And Matt Breida, they were cutbacks. They were straight ahead. They had running lanes. They got to the second level, and the backs were blocking on the second level. It was masterful. It just absolutely masterful.
No, I agree all that, Omar. I agree, and the fact that they, for half the game roughly until Kinley got hurt, they were playing 3 rookies. That's important. You saw the line make a progressive step forward. Now, we're going to look back on this at the end of the year, and the interesting part is that the outlier to the year.
Yes.
Every year there's one game that doesn't fit into the rest of the season, or are they going to keep being able to build on that, not get 250 yards, but have a good, effective running game and blocking scheme and running backs the last couple regular season games of the year? That's what I'm interested. Is that sustainable, or was that a?
It is. It is.
Well, we'll see. We hadn't seen that before. 6 yards a carry.
Here's why I believe it is sustainable. Lynn Bowden Jr., when he's that gadget player running jet sweeps and a linebacker has to go with him, has to be assigned to him, that now gives you 5-on-6 in the box. And literally, all that running back has to do is find that linebacker assigned to him and avoid him. And if all 5 of your offensive linemen take their blocks, hit their assignments, and push forward, you're going to get 4 yards a pop.
But we hadn't seen the linemen doing that all year.
We hadn't seen a Lynn Bowden Jr. We hadn't seen a Lynn Bowden Jr. in this offense used the way that he was used. We hadn't Michael Dieter, and props to him, commendable performance, because he was pulling and effective at doing that. And nobody on this offensive line can do that well. And I think that they need to revisit him as a potential starter. I know it was just one game, but this is a former Wisconsin player in the 3rd round. I know I gave up on him last year, but a year's worth of development and that hunger and drive that he played with, if you could bottle that and put that on the field every single Sunday, you might have yourself somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to see out of that game to see, okay, consistency is the difference between good teams and average teams. And yes. Can they be consistent like that? Cameron Sparks wants to know, do you think Matt Breida will get more touches even when Myles Gaskin returns?
I do expect Myles Gaskin to return before Saturday's game against the Las Vegas Raiders. He's on the COVID reserve list. I believe Friday would be 10 days from when he was placed on the COVID reserve list. So that gives him an opportunity to come back if he's been symptom-free and has passed all the tests. But you never know with COVID. But I think Breida, that was the first game he actually played well. And give credit to the offensive line. And I do put it all on the offensive line. But Myles Gaskin cannot be ignored. Myles Gaskin has been this team's best back. And unlike Ahmed, he can pass protect. And I think that they would make a very good 3-headed monster, all 3 of them on the field. I'd probably use Matt Breida as my 3rd down back. I would love to see it. Now, do I want upgrades at running back? Absolutely, Dave. I think I have a certain eye on a certain Alabama back who will probably be available in the 1st round that the Dolphins would complement this offense so well. But I think that you have 3 serviceable backs if you can get line surge.
All right, we're officially 7 games into Tua Tagovailoa's career as an NFL starter, and the 5th overall pick is 5-2. But with defense playing as well as they are, he's become a game manager, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially for a rookie. Last week, he threw for 145 yards, ran for 2 TDs, in Miami's win over the Patriots. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, the other three rookies who have started games this year are combined 6, 18, and 1. Tagovailoa is completing 63.8% of his passes for 1,359 yards, has a 92 touchdown to interception ratio. He's taken 16 sacks and has a 92.5 passer rating, ranking him 23rd in the NFL behind Ryan Fitzpatrick and Ben Roethlisberger. What's next for Tua, Omar? Where's his next step? Where's it going?
To me, it comes down to being more efficient in third downs and being more efficient in the red zones. Though, and you don't see that many mistakes from Tua. But I think right now it's taking that next step in the red zone, whereas it's not always 50-50 balls. And that's what you've seen primarily from him in the red zone. And I think that they can do better. I think the Changeli can do better. That's where I would like to see, and third downs, but I think a lot of that has to do with the run game. Yes, I would like to see him throw deeper passes, but to be honest with you, what receiver is running deeper routes? So I think continuing to develop chemistry with whoever is out there at wide receiver and tight end, probably incorporating the back more into the passing game, efficiency on third downs, and then red zone plays. They got to get better, got to get cleaner in terms of the red zone operation.
You know, when people point to the record of a rookie quarterback, they're going the wrong way to me. Okay, I get it. And people are saying he doesn't have help. Look at who he's playing with. Well, look who he is playing with. He's playing with the #1 defense in the league.
Preach it, Dave.
That consistently gets him a lead, and he's
and
smart
extra opportunities.
And he's smart enough to ride, to manage the game, as was said, and nothing wrong with that. Let's not hide ourselves in the narrative of where he is, though. Okay. He's not making passes like Justin Herbert, nor is he being asked, nor does he have the receivers to do so. But the next step is at some point he's going to be behind in a game. And
he was in Kansas City, and he did pretty well.
That was nice to see. But can he bring them all the way back? That'll be the next step. It might not be this year. It might not be this year, and certainly it shouldn't be against the Raiders. And if the Bills take the week off, as they might, it probably won't be against the top Bills defense either. So, but look, he's fine as a rookie quarterback. I'm not going to overpraise it, though. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of the quarterbacks the Dolphins have had through the years could have done what he did last week: hand the ball off, make smart decisions. But at times you see, okay, the flash of that's what he can do, and we're waiting to see what he's asked to be doing all year.
What I like about Tua is, and I've consistently said this, the pocket presence, the accuracy, the quick release, the speed in terms of which he's operating. And he's not really even operating that fast right now. I would say he's at the level of a mediocre veteran quarterback right now in terms of where he is. He's at the Marcus Mariota level, to no disrespect to Marcus Mariota, who's possibly starting for the Dolphins, starting against the Dolphins this week. But for a rookie who is 7 starts into his NFL career to be playing at that level, and yes, he's got the #1 defense, but keep in mind he's got a leaky offensive line, no weaponry, and no running game. That's pretty damn good, Dave, for you to be the quarterback who's leading this team.
They had a pretty good, and beyond that, I will say this: #1 defense and a smart coaching staff. And a lot of those other guys, you look at Cincinnati, you look at the Chargers, those aren't smart coaching staffs. Okay, so he's in the right. When everybody's the argument, Herbert, Tua, Burrow, it's going to come down to which organization is better, who puts that quarterback in the right situation to succeed, and consistently week after week. And you look at the organization, and this is a progression from a year ago, and the last 10 years. You have to say, compared to the Chargers and the Bengals and the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, that Tua is in the right situation for him.
Yeah. Our next question
Mike Zinn wants to know, with all the different things being thrown at Tua early in the game, is it just he's learning, adjusting? because he seems to do better in the second half of games. Does that mean he's evolving with other teams, evolving to play certain ways?
I think as a rookie, it takes him a minute or takes them a minute to figure out how a team is playing them, how a team is approaching them on different downs. And once they get it and have a good grasp, they figure out how to counteract it. That's one of the reasons why Brian Flores said that, Chan Gailey was always a hard opponent to coach against when he was with the New England Patriots, because Chan would constantly change and evolve and adjust to whatever you were doing. It's Chan's strength, even though Dolphin fans think he's doing a horrible job, which I say you're an idiot. Yes, does he look great in the empty back sets and the hurry up offense? Yes, he does. Name me the quarterback who doesn't look better in that offense in that set. The question is that, can you lean on more? Can you do more? Can you open up the play action passing game? Can you open up the RPO game? Those are all run-based packages. Do you have the tight ends to go too wide? Can you improve on your screen game? Those are all elements of offensive play that they're not very good at right now, and they're working towards it. The question is, can they get better, and can they get better quick enough to potentially earn a playoff berth? And my answer to that question is yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little issue with the question in that early in the game, adjustments and all that. Look, the Dolphins entered last week as the #1 scoring offense in the league in the first quarter. So they're coming into games, and you saw what they did the first drive. They ran it 95 yards down the field. Tua was great. He was 6 for 6, I believe, passing, and until the last play where he's not aware what's going on around him.
Are you there? Hyde?
Play and threw it in good, what they want to do offensively, and they're scoring a lot in the first quarter. So they've come out at the end of games, the Kansas City game, fourth quarter, they were very good. But let's not dismiss the work they're doing the week and coming into. They're very prepared coming into games. Showtime has a good question. How will a full off season benefit Tua?
Oh, it'll benefit Tua tremendously. I mean, I've been quite impressed with the second-year jumps that we've seen from second-year players like Christian Wilkins and Nick Needham and Preston Williams, and even just second year in this defense. Look at the defense is tightened. They're running the same defense last year. Now, not with the same talent, but it was tremendously more effective this year than it was last year. And I think understanding and comfort and familiarity would benefit them. I don't think they have a good feel for this offense yet, or they have a good grasp of what Tua's strengths and weaknesses are, or they have the weapons that complement him. And I think in an offseason, you get those type of weapons, you become more familiar with what's going on operation-wise, you gain more comfort, and that's the thing, Tua's not comfortable yet. And people have to really understand that and grasp that. He's not comfortable yet. Just imagine how good he's going to be when he gets comfortable, Dave.
The thing I hope they keep this staff intact. After last season, they switched everything out.
Rightly so. Rightly so.
You win in the NFL through getting a good system in place, and players in that, the right players in that system to develop, and they need to do it year after year. So I'm hoping everything stays the same. The other thing that we don't talk anymore about Tua that will be very important is he's not rehabbing out off season from an injury, okay, or mentally having to think, where am I physically, And so if he gets through the rest of the year unhurt and goes into the off season, it will be a completely different off season for him. In addition, who knows where the pandemic's going to be as far as off-season workouts and the structure of that. So
if they can make it through a season, Dave, they can make it through off-season workouts. Just my take.
All right. Question comes from Richard. Why do you think Tua didn't stretch the field with the long ball? We had some short yardage on second down to take a shot.
Well, that's an interesting question because it makes me ask you, who is the long ball receiver out there on the field? Anybody? Antonio Callaway, who is actually, the guy everybody hyped up. I never
I
really.
did. I like his talent. I still like his talent, but obviously something's missing. Something's
Yeah,
missing.
and he wasn't, when he couldn't get on the field in those situations and instances where they had like 5 3rd and 1s. I thought to myself, you know what? This is a he doesn't understand or grasp the offense situation. But Jakeem Grant, who's the other option of the deep threat, and I argued to you, he ain't much of a deep threat. He's hurt and he's got a hamstring injury. So even if he plays, he's not at full speed. And Devontae Parker has shown you that he can run deep routes, but with a hamstring injury, and it's not really his route, not really his strength. That is one area that this team absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally, no debate, no discussion, must add. They must add a Kenny Stills type weapon, and I know it's not going to be Kenny Stills because of Jay-Z Gate, but they must add a Kenny Stills type weapon, a guy who can stretch the field consistently and run, as Tua mentioned, brotherhood routes, which he mentioned that with Jakeem Grant in terms of the guy who clears the field out for everybody else. It's an important element of the offense. It keeps safeties honest, and the Dolphins don't have it.
That will be their number one pick, their first pick, a premier, hopefully, wide receiver. But to answer the question about why they didn't throw it downfield, all that, Omar, let me stack on something else. They didn't need to. Why potentially make a big mistake in a game where the Patriots offense, the only way they're going to score a touchdown in that game is if you gift wrap them one. Okay,
True.
and
Very fair.
You
Very
are
fair.
in control of the game. And so why get away from anything that will give the Patriots some short field where they could possibly score on you? And so, that was a game where you just smartly play it out and ram the ball down their throat and keep ramming it as the second half went on, and don't worry about throwing deep.
Well, Dave, as we discussed early in the show, the Dolphins are entering an elimination round of the season. These final 2 games are critical to Miami making it into the postseason. Miami's in the second year of this rebuild for Brian Flores and Chris Greer. But is the playoff berth absolutely necessary for us to measure success? How will you measure success from this season, Dave?
Oh, to me, there's the main question, and it's not playoff, it's development. Where are they? Where collectively as a team, and more importantly, I think, or as
That's
importantly,
a column, Dave. That's a column.
Individually, yeah, I know it's a coming column. Is the playoffs are nice. They're a bonus, but what you're really looking, let's not lose sight of the big and collectively.
I agree with you. It's about talent development. That is the number one thing that separates the OK coaches, the Adam Gases of the world, from the Bill Belichick's. And I have been so overwhelmingly impressed with what Brian Flores and this staff, not last year's staff, this staff has done from a coaching talent development standpoint. Let's just start with Bobby McCain. Didn't we begin this season with questions about whether or not he can be a free safety, whether or not he could be the quarterback of this defense? Could he be durable enough? Yes. Eric Rowe, could he be this tight end stopper that, they envisioned for him? Christian Wilkins, I will tell you, I'll argue to you, Christian Wilkins had a disappointing rookie season. He was not nearly the contributor that he was this year. Zach Sealer, Nick Needham. I said the one position, I like Nick Needham, call him superstar. That's not me, that's Brian Flores. But I said he can't play nickel. That wasn't because they put him in at nickel at the end of the season, and he was bad at it. Now, Nick Needham might arguably be a top 10 nickel in the NFL. And it's just player after player after player. Even Michael Dieter, goodness gracious, I left him for dead. He was gone. That was a 3rd round pick that just absolutely got wasted. And here he is resurrecting himself. And I would argue to you, he showed me in one game something Solomon Kinley hasn't shown me in 14.
Well, and what you're saying is you got to be a little patient with guys in their first year. Okay, I mean, by the end of the second year, you're starting to get a grasp on, okay, hopefully where they are and what they're doing, unless someone just blows you away from the start, like a Zach Thomas or a Jason Taylor, and you know those are the exceptional players. And
Jarvis
you know
Landry. Don't disrespect Jarvis Landry. That was the last guy blew us away.
Jarvis Landry, right. He would have been the last one. Right?
Jake Long. Goodness gracious, the Jake Long years. Man, do I miss an offensive lineman like Jake Long.
I missed a quarterback in that draft, Omar, but that's a whole another historical bent that we could go down. Let's see where else. Okay, the Raiders have been the blueprint. You say the Raiders have been the blueprint and have used the Dolphins have used to rebuild this franchise with a few exceptions. What does it say about this franchise that Miami appears ahead of Las Vegas, even though they've had a season's head start under John Gruden?
I think it really says something about the defense. And if you look at John Gruden, and I know Brian Flores does not like to be called a defensive-minded coach. I wrote a column about it last week. He got all in his feelings when, and I've used that term often, but I'm sorry. There are defensive-minded coaches and then there are offensive-minded coaches. Even though Belichick is the greatest coach in probably NFL history, I'm sure Don Shula fans would argue that he is not. He's still a defensive-minded coach. That is his specialty. That is his lane. And Brian Flores has the number one, uno. Well, how do you say number one in French, Dave?
Wow. I don't know. I don't speak French. Yo hablo español.
But he's got the number one.
I know it in Swedish, et. It's one in Swedish is et, that we could do that.
There you go. He's got et in defense heading into the final two games of the season. And it's not like, oh, they just miraculously just jumped up and became it. No, he's had the top 5, top 3 defense pretty much every game except for the first 3 games of the season. Since Jacksonville, when they finally found their groove, since Xavier Howard started pulling down interceptions, they're tops in turnovers. They are tops in third down efficiency, and they're tops in points allowed. That means you're the best defense in the NFL. And it's been consistent. And you got to give it to Flores. Whereas John Gruden fired his defensive coordinator. They got leaks everywhere on their defense. And despite all the resources that they put into their defense, it's not good. And I think that that's where you separate these two teams. I would argue to you that Vegas has a better quarterback. I'm a Derek Carr fan. Hopefully Tua can be better than Derek Carr in time, but right now he's not. And
you better be better than Derek Carr, Omar. You better be better than Derek Carr.
He should be. Let's hope he's better.
It just took me a second to think about it. I'm not. But I think there's an exceptional difference, and you touched on it, between these two franchises, and that is Brian Flores came in, and his background is defense. His background's defense, and the defense, his specialty is number 1 rated in the league. John Gruden's specialty is offense, and after 3 years now, his offense is still in trouble. It's still in trouble. Okay, he hasn't, and that's what you want to be given from a coach. His specialty is taken care of. Brian Flores said after one off season, we need to spend here. It's fixed and it's sustainable. Gruden is still fighting with his specialty on offense, and he has 7 years at $10 million a year left on his contract. So see where that goes. Okay, Fantasy Bust has a question, Omar. Does Marcus Mariota present more of a challenge than Derek Carr to the Dolphins, given Miami's inability to stop running quarterbacks?
He does present more of a challenge because Miami is susceptible to the athletic quarterback, as we all know. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes trying to figure out who's not practicing today. And they need – I would be more scared or concerned. Derek Carr is trying to play. He's trying to play. He's practicing. He's practicing again today. He's trying to play. I suspect he'll play because he can't leave that window of opportunity open for Marcus Mariota to show and improve and win a game. But Marcus Mariota would scare me more because of the threat of the run. And as we said early in the show, The run game. You don't want to know how to beat the Dolphins? Run the ball and run the ball effectively and run the ball efficiently. Marcus Mariota can help the Raiders do that. So I would be way more comfortable if Derek Carr is back there at quarterback.
Well, first of all, I think Derek Carr is doing what the Dolphins did with Tua. It sounds like earlier, a couple weeks ago. He might play, might play, might play. So you have to think about both of them. Okay, when you saw him get hurt with a groin, that looked pretty serious when he was hopping off the field with a groin, and those don't repair. So
yeah, you need a groin to play quarterback, Dave.
The larger point here to me, I want Mariota in there. You saw he looks good. He looks good. Wow, how could he sit on the bench? And then bang, that one throw that's right at the defender. It's just the consistent hallmark of his career. He cannot consistently play that position, and he looks well for 4, 5, 6 plays in a row, and you're thinking that he's on to something, and then he'll throw the interception or give him the chance, and that's why I want him out there against a defense that does very well getting turnovers. So put Mariota out there, and he's going to run some. I have no problem with that, considering he'll give it back when he's throwing the ball.
Does it bother you that Mariota Tua's idol?
He grew up in Hawaii. That was the guy he looked up to. We all compare ourselves to someone we're familiar with or we have something in common with. That's the people and that was his guy. How many Hawaiian quarterbacks are there in the league? There was one years ago, and I can't even think of his name. But there haven't been very many. So that's pretty neat that he looked up to him, I thought. Does it bother you?
No. Mariota won a Heisman Trophy. Yes, he's not a great quarterback in the NFL, but I think in time he can develop into something pretty decent.
When I grew up, I looked up to a guy who was the best player I've ever seen when I was a kid, and he made Double-A baseball. That was the limit he got to. And I was in a small town, but that you look up to who you have, and that's who he had. So
yeah. Amal asks our next question. After Travis Kelce had a big game, do you expect the Dolphins to change their approach with Darren Waller?
Well, you're looking at the two probably best receiving tight ends in the league right now. Okay, Travis Kelce and Waller's having an amazing year. And yes, there's the guy you got to put, either bracket him. Give Eric Rowe help somehow, double team him, do something. But if you go one-on-one, no one's held him down in the league this year. And you, as good as Eric Rowe has been against average to tight ends for the most part, against the elite are going to win that one-on-one battle.
Is Darren Waller elite though?
Yeah, this year he is. You look at what he's done and what he in that offense. And he's having a great year.
Yeah, I don't know if they have to do anything special, because I think Eric Rowe has probably been, in my mind, one of the top 5 performers on this team all season in terms of getting his job done. He got beat by Travis Kelce a lot, and there's no shame in that, since Travis Kelce's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer in his prime. And the Dolphins couldn't give Eric Rowe any help because they had so many other issues everywhere else on the field against the Chiefs. And that's probably why the Chiefs are as good as they are. But I don't know if Eric Rowe, maybe give him help on third downs, but I think he's got it. I think Eric Rowe has done a phenomenal job, and I'm not holding that Travis Kelce performance against him, because I'm sorry, but there isn't a player in the NFL who can lock down Travis Kelce one-on-one all game.
Okay, Darren Waller, 93 catches, 10.4 yard average, 8 touchdowns. That's pretty darn impressive for a tight end. Okay, and so
double them in red zone and double them on third downs. Other than that, Eric Rowe's got it.
Okay.
Su Kong asks our next question. What can the Dolphins do to open up the deep passing game? Is this just a personnel issue causing this problem, Dave?
It starts with personnel. I mean, when you say how can they? Well, they need to get some receivers on the field who can open up the defense that way. Okay, and my point would be don't force it. Live off the short to medium range, and until if something presents itself, if the question is, who do you have to run deep routes? Who's with, who you're comfortable with, and the quarterback has some type of a relationship with. And I'm not sure when you look up and down the roster who that is.
A great offensive mind who I've had the privilege of picking his brain trying to learn football, not going to name names. He said to me once, you got to throw the ball honest. You got to throw the ball deep downfield to keep teams honest. Take a 2-and-4 situation, take a 3-and-1 situation. It just keeps them honest. The problem with the Dolphins offense right now is that they don't have a weapon that can keep defenses honest. They've got a jet sweep runner in Lynn Bowden Jr. They've got gadget players in Jakeem Grant and Malcolm Perry. They've got slot receivers, slot guys who are running slot routes in Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and Mac Hollins. They have absolutely nobody on this team that could stretch the field. Maybe a practice squad guy. Maybe a Kirk Merritt can do it. But it's just not good enough. And yes, you said it earlier in the show, they're going to have to use an early resource on one of those receivers. They're going to be 3, 2 from Alabama and 1 from LSU, that can do what you need to do. And while I am not a ball watcher, while I'm not obsessed with skill players, you have to get it to make this RPO offense be respected. And it is the missing ingredient.
That's hard for you to say, isn't it, Omar?
It is. I still feel like if Sewell from Oregon is there with their first pick, I'm taking him. I do feel like that. I'm sticking to my board, and I believe Sewell is the finishing piece to this offensive line. You draft him, you put him at right tackle, you move Hunt to guard, you move Jesse Davis to center, and you figure it out at left guard, and you've got a top 10 offensive line in the NFL. And to me, that's what makes this offense go.
You know who you are? You're the Dallas Cowboys. Without Ezekiel Elliott, okay, you have a great offensive line, and you need playmakers. Jim Ryan has a final question. Huh?
I said guilty. I'm guilty.
Jim Ryan has our final question. Any chance either Allen Hearns or Albert Wilson return next year?
I think they'll both return. Now, whether or not they'll be on the 53-man roster when the season begins in a regular season is 50-50. If Albert Wilson of 2008 returns, a guy who is a run-after-catch dynamic player, a Lynn Bowden Jr. type element, if he returns and from that hip injury and is the performer that we saw in 2018, then I say, yeah, he's got a chance to stay. But, in terms of contractually, Wilson, he restructured his deal last year. He was due to make $3 million this year. He took a COVID payout that was only paying him, I believe, $750,000. Same thing with Allen Hearns. But he's got $1 million guaranteed next year. So, and Hearns has 2 years left on the $7 million deal. He's got $1.25 million guaranteed. Steve Ross is eating, I believe, $6 million this year for Rashad Jones to go away. I think he's fine whether or not Wilson or Hearns. He pays $1 million to Wilson or Hearns. Steve Ross doesn't care. Big Daddy Buck, Big Bucks doesn't care about that stuff. I think they will have to both earn their spot on this roster. And if you look at what's here, what remains, okay, you got Devontae coming back, you got Preston coming back, you got Lynn Bowden Jr. definitely is a guy you need to continue to pour into. Then you've got Jakeem Grant and you got Mac Hollins and you've got a first-round pick.
And Malcolm Perry. So
sure,
yeah, there's
sure.
They're gonna go out and get several receivers this offseason, I'm sure, in various ways. And so, Wilson and Hearns will have a chance, and I think they like Hearns' chance. I'd like his chance better from Wilson coming back from that hip. That's a tough injury when your game is speed and your game is moving like he does. But they liked Hearns enough last year to give him a decent contract. And so
It's
I mean, at least it was respect. It showed
it was respect
they're
shown.
interested.
Yeah, it was respect shown. Yeah, they throw around these small little contracts to send messages to guys like, you work hard, you perform, you do well. We'll reward you. But let's be real about it. Alan Hearns is making 3.25 million this, and is supposed to. And same thing with Wilson, $3 million. That's respectable money in the NFL is $6 million. But hey, it's props to them for taking care of guys and making guys feel more comfortable. Prediction time, Dave. This is an important one because the Dolphins absolutely need it. Even though they're still banged up a little bit, I give them the edge over Oakland. Las Vegas Raiders. It's hard to get out my system. I give them the edge.
On that. I was going to call myself when I said Oakland. I keep saying San Diego for the Chargers.
I love San Diego. Miss San Diego. They'll always be San Diego to me. But I think the Dolphins will pull out a victory, 24-17. I think that this is the victory that gets them the 10. Even if they don't make it into the playoffs, I still view this as a phenomenal season, the best the Dolphins have had as a franchise since 2008.
Wow, we even better than 2016?
Yeah, 2016 was fake, fraudulent.
2008 proved to be fake too. It proved to be Chad Pennington. And that's the thing. If we're going to go down this route that we started down, I like about this year, it's not built on one idea or one, the question always was, were they really a power running game in 2016? And 2008 is, can Chad Pennington stay healthy? And this year, this looks much more sustainable if they can get the offense up and running. And that's, but as far as a prediction, I'll go Dolphins 20 and the Raiders 14. And I see another low-scoring game that the Dolphins defense will control.
Definitely. Well, thank you for watching X's and Omar's. For those who come and watch it live, for those who listen to it on the podcast or on the Sun Sentinel site or however we stream it, we definitely appreciate you and want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to those who do not celebrate Christmas. This is unfortunately a great time to spend time with your family. Be safe, be smart, wear your mask.
Omar, seriously, haven't we spent enough time with our family through the past? The door's closed. Nobody can hear me. I've spent so much time with my family.
Oh, Dave, I'm not even. Yes, we have. Yes. So what, you want to run the streets, Dave? Is that what you want to do?
I would have been in Vegas this weekend. I would have been in Vegas for the Dolphins game. So that's another story.
Yeah, that's true. Turn up in Vegas. Well, we thank you and we appreciate you. Happy holidays and hope everybody stays safe.